There are two components. The first component relates to seed potato and rice. 15% of the 15.1 million Zimbabweans now consume rice and potato. In fact, let's step back. There are three types where 85% of the population consumes maize. And we are looking at alternate foods to maize. It's what you can alternate. You can eat maize meal today, sadza, and eat potato in the evening and perhaps rice. So that alternating. Then there are those that now consider rice and potato as alternatives. So many of the young generation think that maize sadza isn't. So they are now primarily their diets are based on rice, potato, and others for their starch component. Then there are substitute foods that you can use, for example, gorosi or wheat flour in place of maize. So we considered all that and said 15% of this population, young generation, now prefer to consume rice and potato. In the context of rice, we only produce less than 1% of that rice requirement. We consume 10,000 metric tons of rice every month, 120,000 metric tons, which is predominantly imported. And you say, why do we make that vatable? Why do we make it expensive? So why can't we remove VAT on it so that it becomes more affordable? And that was cabinet decision that let's remove the VAT on rice. We also looked at seed potato. We are able to produce somewhere in the region of 40% of our seed potato requirements. We consume somewhere in the region of 400 to 500,000 metric tons of Irish potato, table potato. So for the 50% of seed that we import, we said that will ultimately lead to more expensive table potato purchases. If we removed this component at input level, this will be more affordable. Then we looked at households and said, in a El Nino year, the three worst affected aspects, we looked at cooking oil, we looked at the maize meal, and we said perhaps we should allow duty-free importation by households from July onwards. And what we define as a household consumption is what the Minister of Industry and Commerce and Minister of Agriculture normally come up with, between 30 and 40 kgs a month for meal, perhaps maybe 2 liters or 750, depending on what they decide on the shortages that are in the country, is what they will allow for household imports. So that's the clarity that we have. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chief.